Leaked. Princess Leonor's late-night calls to Prince Christian flushed red heart. The palace was silent. Midnight had settled over Madrid, the grand halls empty, the chandeliers casting soft shadows on marble floors. Yet in one private chamber, Princess Leonor sat, phone in hand, heart racing, voice barely above a whisper. Europe's future queen, bound by centuries of tradition, was making calls that no one was supposed to hear. Late-night calls to Prince Christian, secret conversations that could change everything. For years, the world has watched Leonor with a mixture of admiration and fascination. The poised, disciplined, untouchable heir to Spain's throne. Every gesture, every appearance, measured to perfection. But now, the whispers are louder than ever. Private calls, exchanged under the veil of darkness, carrying words of love, laughter, and longing that no official statement could ever capture. These weren't ordinary calls. They were carefully timed, often after the world thought she was asleep. Friends close to Leonor suggest these conversations began as innocent check-ins, a young friendship growing in secrecy. But over time, they evolved into something more, a private world of trust and affection shared between two heirs, both trained to hide their emotions under the scrutiny of public expectation. Insiders reveal that Prince Christian, raised with the same pressures of duty and tradition in Denmark, was uniquely positioned to understand her. Their bond, once discreet and formal, had grown into late-night confessions, whispered fears, and dreams spoken softly across international borders. Words that reflected not just romance, but the unspoken weight of legacy. The calls reportedly began shortly after a diplomatic gathering in Copenhagen. Observers noticed subtle glances, fleeting smiles that hinted at a deeper connection. At first, the palace dismissed these signs as youthful friendship. But as the weeks passed, the frequency of their late-night calls increased. Each conversation revealed glimpses of vulnerability, discussions of responsibility, private doubts, and, most surprisingly, moments of humor that showed a side of Leonor few had ever seen. Yet, secrecy is a heavy burden. The Spanish royal household, keenly aware of the optics of love between heirs, instructed discretion. And for Leonor, discretion became both a shield and a source of tension. She had to balance desire with duty, intimacy with protocol, while every message risked exposure and speculation. Fans who have followed every royal appearance were quick to piece together the subtle signals: a hand lightly brushing a shoulder at a state banquet, shared laughter during formal ceremonies, fleeting eye contact that lingered longer than etiquette would allow. But only the late-night calls revealed the full depth of their connection, conversations that allowed them to speak freely, away from cameras, away from the weight of crowns. Reports indicate that during these conversations, Leonor often expressed her longing for normalcy. "I wish I could be a girl, not a princess," she allegedly told Christian on more than one occasion. And he, understanding the pressure of monarchy, responded with reassurance and humor, creating a rare space where both could simply exist as themselves. But as the story leaked, the implications became clear. The palace, striving to maintain its dignity, reportedly scrambled to contain the narrative. Friends say Leonor was cautioned about privacy, advised to limit communication to protect the monarchy's image. Yet, for a young woman in love, pulling back wasn't simple. Each call was a risk, but also a lifeline, a reminder that beneath the crown, she was still human, capable of desire, fear, and affection. Observers across Europe began to speculate. Was this budding romance a distraction from duty or a genuine bond that could reshape alliances? Could the connection between Leonor and Christian influence future diplomatic ties, or was it purely personal, insulated from politics? These questions lingered as whispers became headlines, and private calls became public curiosity. The emotional depth of these conversations, according to insiders, was striking. They weren't just discussing fleeting matters of the heart. They spoke of ambitions, fears of the future, and the unique loneliness of being heirs in a world that observes every word. Leonor confided in Christian her hopes to lead with empathy, to honor her country while remaining true to herself. And in return, he shared lessons from his own upbringing, the burden of expectation, the solace of trust, and the delicate balance of love under scrutiny. But with intimacy came risk. The very act of speaking freely made every word a potential scandal. When fragments of these calls allegedly reached journalists, social media erupted. Fans flooded forums with admiration and concern, torn between excitement over young love and fear for the consequences of exposure. Some hailed Leonor's courage, celebrating her humanity. Others questioned whether any royal could afford such openness without endangering tradition. Through it all, Leonor's poise remained. Publicly, she maintained composure at ceremonies, her demeanor flawless. Privately, the calls offered release, laughter in the night, the comfort of shared secrets, and the rare joy of being understood. Each connection strengthened not only their bond but also Leonor's resilience, allowing her to navigate the relentless gaze of the world with grace. The story of these late-night calls isn't just a tale of romance. It is a portrait of modern royalty, revealing how personal emotion intersects with legacy, how private love must coexist with public expectation, and how a young woman destined for the throne finds agency and connection in the most discreet of ways. And as the whispers grow louder, one question remains: will Leonor and Christian's bond withstand the scrutiny of the palace, the press, and history? Or will the pressures of duty eventually silence the voices that speak so freely in the dark of night? For now, these calls remain a testament to their courage, the courage to love openly, if secretly, and to find connection despite centuries of expectation. Because even in a world of crowns, protocol, and tradition, the heart seeks its own path, and for Princess Leonor, it seems that path leads directly to the one person who truly understands her. The world may watch, speculate, and analyze, but these late-night calls reveal the truest story of all, that beneath the royal titles and ceremonial duties beats a heart unafraid to love, and a young princess daring to find her own voice in the quietest hours of the night.